welcome back to another video on the channel. Today I'm back with the FIA Round 2 track guides. Now I haven't had time to do these as in depth as I would have liked, because obviously it's starting later for the EU and later for the American, and I have to apologise for the other regions. I've obviously wanted to get my own practice done, and I'm just doing very quick runs of the laps that I've done. I've managed to do an okay lap in the McGann. It's not particularly pushing the limits, and pretty much the same for the manufacturer's race. It's an okay lap, it's not particularly amazing. Now I'm just going to run through the laps in slow motion through the corners and try and point out the braking points, point out reference points, and point out some of the areas that I've made mistakes. As I'm going to, after the lap's complete, I'm going to let the lap play at full speed from the chase camera, and then going to try and have a look at the areas where I think I could improve also, which should help myself out and also help out others when they see where I'm talking about there's potential to gain more time. I don't really like this track, the Kyoto reverse version of this. It's not particularly a track I'm looking forward to drive, especially with the track limits that you're going to have to be so careful with in these FIA races. I can see so many penalties being given out at this track because I think they've made them a bit too strict, and I would have preferred this variation the other way round. I think it would have made for a better race, but they've decided to do this variation. I don't even think I've ever seen this variation come up in a daily race, so I think a lot of people are going to be inexperienced at this. There's probably been a lot of people practicing. I've only done a bit of practice of this. I've managed to get an okay time in though, so we're going to run through this lap now and try and point out some of the areas. You can see I didn't get the best start to this lap because I had a penalty that I had to get rid of before the last corner. Didn't carry really the speed that I could have been carrying over the start finishing line, so maybe half a tenth was lost just through point of going into the braking point, but nothing massive, because then you can brake a little bit later, to be honest. So going into the braking zone, you're going to be braking past on 100, pretty much in between the 50 and 100, and be careful not to down into third gear too early. I find braking and then downshifting into third gear a bit later keeps it steadier through the corner, and I don't like to get that left hand tyre too far on that blue bit of tarmac. It tends to make the rear go a bit loose, so I try to avoid that a little bit. Then working your way into the next chicane, which you're going to have to be so careful for the track limits, braking a little bit before that 50, chucking it in, and you've got to try and make sure your left hand tyre does not go over that white line on by the curb, and again the same for that apex. If you cut that ever so slightly, you're getting a penalty, and you're just going to build up the penalties massively. Into the next braking zone, braking before the 50 board. I find braking a little bit before it enables the car to go into this corner a lot smoother and stops it running wide, and then that enables you then to get on the power so much earlier, as if you brake a little bit later you're struggling to get on the power and you lose about 2-3 tenths at this point of the lap. So at this point, running okay lap, I think there's about a tenth. I could have been faster, maybe a tenth and a half, and then this is the real tricky section because the track limits here are very unpredictable. You've got to be so careful not to run too far over there, and then this point, this there, you cannot go any further than what I did there. And again, on this corner, I pushed a little bit, I could have gone a little bit earlier on the accelerator, but I pushed the limits on the track limits quite far there, but I think I could have gotten the power a fair bit earlier as I hesitated and lost maybe a tenth or so up this straight also. Now this is a real tricky corner as well because it's fairly easy to do, but you can get it so that you don't drop below 113. You can see I dropped down to 111 miles per hour there. You can actually get that a bit better by chucking it in more and getting on the power a little bit early. As you can see, I had plenty of space to work with on that left. I could have pushed a little bit harder through there, but again, it's a tricky corner to get absolutely perfect. And now we're into another area where penalties can be built up. You wouldn't think it, but you've got to be so careful on this corner that you don't run too far over there, and then going downhill now. This right hand part on this right hand tyre about now, if you go too far over there you're going to get a penalty, and it's so strict. You've got to be very careful, and then braking very early for this corner. I like to just let it coast through this corner and try and hold the tight line as much as possible, and then get on the power as early as possible. I was a little bit hesitant at getting on that power again, but still better than obviously the previous lap. The Ghost and racing here wasn't actually my best lap. I was just in the session and didn't bother loading the Ghost up, and went over the line on a 1 minute 40.1, so not a bad lap. I think I could knock that down by another 3 tenths, but I just wanted to get this guide out for everyone because I've obviously been a bit delayed in getting it out, and I want to just help out as many people as I can before they do their races. So this is running from behind. We're going to have a little look at this lap now, and I'll talk about not getting that left. You'll see on turn 1 I don't like to get the rear left hand tyre too much on the blue tarmac on this side now, because I find if you do too much there it starts loosening the rear, so that's why I tend to stay away from the curb on that corner, and it enables a better exit then. And again, for this corner, you're going to see I pushed it okay through there. I think I did that reasonably close to the limits. I don't think I could have gained too much time there. I like watching these laps from this view because it really does show you where you're leaving too much space on the track, where you're not getting on the power early enough. It's a little bit easier to see how far you're pushing the limits in terms of track limits and stuff. So this is a section that, like I said before, so tricky. We'll see how close I got to probably get the penalty. So this corner pretty much perfect, and then there, that was close. I must admit, I think a couple of inches further over that curb, and that would have been a penalty. And so I'm a little bit worried about this race. I think it's going to be a difficult one to keep the penalties under 10 seconds, to be brutally honest. I can see a lot of people getting big penalties here, and it's maybe a good strategy just to take it easy and just try and avoid getting penalties. That might be the strategy I go for. It'll all depend how the race pans out in terms of fuel saving and stuff, which the way things are going tends to be a fuel saving fest every race, but we'll see how this one goes. It all depends on qualifying as well. As you see, going down this hill, this again is a corner you've got to be, so you cannot cut that too much there, because if you do, you're going to pick up a penalty. And I think I lost a little bit of time on this final corner. You're going to see how I have to take a second bite at the throttle because I tried to get on a little bit too early, and possibly a tenth there. So 2 to 3 tenths probably to gain on that lap, but I'm not going to push it any more than that because there's no benefit of pushing the time trial too much. It's just for bragging rights, and I'm not too worried about that. I need to get some race practice, so I haven't done any race practice at that track yet. So going into this race, I've managed to do 1.5 race practices at this. I did half, I quit because I was too tired and I was making errors, but I did another one today with TR alignment. So going into turn 1, this is the braking reference, your 100 board on the left. I like to brake a little fraction before that 100 board, you'll see there, just before it, because you want to get your right hand tyre over that green part of tarmac. I slightly missed that. I could have cut that more than that. You see the Ghost starting to pull ahead because I cut it more on that Ghost. So you can cut that a little bit more, maybe about half a tenth down at this stage because I didn't cut it enough. And then working your way into the next braking zone, you're going to look again just before the 100. I like to brake a fraction before that 100 and get your right hand tyre as far over as possible to widen the line into this left apex there, hitting that curve pretty much spot on. I think I did that close to the maximum of the Mercedes. You can see getting on the power, and it's really starting to go because I'm close to the limit of what the grip will give. And going through that sector on an okay split, about a tenth down on my best through there, but not bad. And then going down on the downhill section, this is another tricky section. You've got to be lifting off the throttle and letting it coast a bit, and then early downshift, and then into third gear very early because you want to get the car to the left hand side as much as possible. There's no point taking loads of speed into this corner because too much speed into that corner will mean you won't get the exit speed from here. And again, it's quite a long straight, so you need the exit speed. It's so important. I actually did that reasonably well into third gear there. You see it starting to pull away from the Ghost ever so slightly. So about 2 tenths down, I think, from my ultimate lap at this stage. You can see there 0.1, and braking in between the 100 and the 150 for this next corner down into second gear, and you want to try and skim that curb on the left hand side and be very aggressive in second gear on the throttle. You see there, I stay in second gear and let it rev out a bit, because if you early upshift you lose a bit of time. It's best to let it rev out in second gear. Now for this long right hand corner down into third gear, and you want to try and get it as close to the apex, you know, obviously the barrier on the right hand side as possible, and then get on the power as early as possible. I was again a little bit slow getting on the power, but not too bad. It was reasonably well done. And working our way into where the track split from the C version to the B version. We're doing the B version. We're going right hand now, flat out through it, no lifting. That's where you normally go straight on for the longer version. And then the next braking zone, we're looking for the 150, which you're going to brake a little bit past. You see, just past the 150, down into third gear, then second gear as we approach the apex of the corner. And again, I missed that apex a little bit there. I would have rather have clipped the apex a bit better, and that would have enabled me to upshift into third gear and get the power a lot smoother. You can see the rear was stepping out, so lost a bit of time, but nothing massive. Now this is a really important section. You've got to be so aggressive through here, accelerating flat out, and you've got to really chuck your car into this left hand early. It's unsighted, but you've got to just throw it in and hope that you bite it into this apex. You see, I actually did that very nicely, and that's where I gained a lot of time over the Ghost. You see there, pulling away from the Ghost in the background because I hooked that corner up, and then braking just before the 100. This is the corner I struggle with all the time because I'm carrying so much more speed than I'm used to carrying into there. And again, you see I had to take a second bite at that corner. The rear didn't want to, the front didn't want to turn in, a bit of understeer mid corner, and lost out maybe a tenth on the exit there, but not too bad. carrying okay speed all the way to the finish line on the 308.1. So again, not a bad lap. I think I could get that into a late 207, but the Mercedes isn't the strongest car for this track. Your Porsches, your Renaults are going to be the cars to look out for. I think also the Nissan, when I was racing Lightning, his car is still so fast down the straights, even with the 1% he's had off of the GTR and the 1% I've had gained from the Mercedes. I cannot keep up with that car on acceleration, it's so fast. But having a little look at the areas where you see on that corner, didn't get that right hand tyre over the green part of Astra as much as I would like. That corner really used all the track and did that really well. You can see clipping it perfectly. The rear starts to separate, I'm close to the limit of what the grip will give, so happy with how I did that corner, but the first corner could have been a bit better. Now this downhill section I did okay, however I think I could have gained a little bit on the entry into the bridge section. You're going to see I missed the apex ever so slightly, so one area I think I would have liked to have got a bit better would have just skimming that apex, that curb ever so fraction, a bit better, would have gained me maybe half a tenth. But these are where your half a tenths are gained by just getting that extra, half a foot closer to the apex can gain you half a tenth on acceleration. And you see this corner, I actually pushed that pretty much perfectly, skimming the barrier on the right hand side. And again there, I can't really complain at that. I did that okay, not really any much loss at all there. This corner I think I could have been a bit closer to the barrier. You see, not really using the full apex of the corner, and that then stops you getting on the throttle that fraction earlier. So that maybe lost me a tenth or so by the end of this straight. It's just all little things like that where you're going to gain that extra bit of time. I hear a lot of people talking about, they feel like they're on the same lines as other people, but they lose time. It's because these half a foot, missing the apex, like here now, I miss the apex by half a foot there. That stops me getting on the power by maybe a fraction of a second, and then you lose another half a tenth to a tenth just because you didn't hook that corner up perfectly. But this corner I was really happy with. I can't complain at this. You have a look again at this. You see really close to the apex, and it bites in when you keep it that close. You just got to be careful through that corner that you don't pick up a penalty, because if you take too much off the apex that corner and cut it a bit much, you're going to get a penalty. So just be careful of that one. So really reasonably happy with both of them laps. They could have been pushed more, but haven't had too much time to practice these races this weekend, so I'm just hoping for the best results possible. I'm not expecting too much, so I'm just going into these races looking to enjoy some really fun racing and hopefully have some clean battles and come away with some okay points. I think for this race, anything over 1500 points for this race I'll be happy with, because the Mercedes isn't going to be the stronger car around here, but it should be better than some other cars. There's going to be cars it's going to be better than, but I think anything over 1500 points to 1800 points I'll be happy with. I'm not going to be complaining at that. With regards to the Nations race, I really have no idea, because although I should have okay speed, I've not practiced enough to not get penalties, so that could be a massive penalty fest. I'm really a bit worried about that race, how many penalties people are going to be getting. And I'll leave you with the rest of the replay from this lap. Hope you enjoyed this very quick video. I do apologise for not getting this video out earlier and having time to really go in depth on this, but I wanted to give as much help as I could out before the race. I know I could have probably slowed it down more and put the braking reference arrows in and stuff, but I just need to get back on and practice myself. So wanted to give you some help before the races, and I wish you all the luck in today's races. I hope you all have good races, and let me know in the comment section after your race how you got on, and hopefully this has helped you out. Let me know if it's helped you out even slightly, because it does it helps me do more videos when I see people that get help from these videos. So thanks again for watching, and I'll be back very soon. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, click that notification button and give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Thanks again for watching, everyone.